All right. Hello, everyone. This is Nancy Rebecca with Intuitive Mind. I'm going to be talking about everything blue. The blue light is coming. Today is a full moon. Lots and lots of exciting things happening. Nope. I started just a wee bit late because I got all the way here and realized I forgot to put earrings on. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I know it is not going to be a good day for me if I get all the way to work and I have forgotten to put earrings on. So I had to run all the way back upstairs to make sure that that happened today. So yeah, I'm super excited. I've been waiting. Of course, we've been waiting for this for several years, and but we've been waiting 2 long years for this additional third and final wave to be coming through. So it is super exciting. I am wearing blue. I did go yesterday specifically to get blue nail polish. I got all the way home and I said, oh, I don't think I can do it. It's way too dark for me. But the gal that does my nails, she goes, it's a holiday. It's a holiday. These are holiday nails. So it is kind of like a holiday with the blue light that's coming. So I know there's many of you tuning in and you absolutely understand the significance of this time that we're in, about the blue celestial galactic surges of light that are coming through. And then there are others who kind of stumble upon this either live talk or you're going to listen to the recording later. And you're going to say, what is she talking about? So I'm not going to go through the whole thing again for anyone who is just tuning in and this is brand new. I do have many, many videos where I talk about this over the last several years as well. Leanne saying, I have blue toenails. Yeah, that is brave for me to do the fingernails, Leanne. Thank you for recognizing that. But if you go to my website, intuitivemind.org, and you click on blog, I have a lot of blogs written about the significance, the enormous significance of this blue radiance of light that is coming to the earth just around the corner. I happen to be live here October 28th, which is a full moon. It is also a partial eclipse. And to me, I feel like, we're these surfers on the ocean and we're kind of paddling out to catch those three big waves that are going to be happening in November. And so for those who've been following, yeah, it's pretty exciting. So, but what I will say in a nutshell, I find myself uh, wanting to kind of rationalize and make reasonable what we are about to experience. There's absolutely zero scientific data that would say, yeah, this is happening. But in saying that, if you are following along anyone who is talking about the astrology right now, they're saying this is one of the biggest, most significant times that we've experienced in our lifetime and that we will probably experience in several hundred years, maybe even 1,000 years. So it's a significant time that we're in. There's also a lot of people who really live in that level of the galactic and the star beings. Star seeds talk about the different star beings, the Pleiadians and the Lyrans and Arcturians and Sirians and Orions, and so who talk about those sorts of things all the time, who are already talking about different things that are happening on the earth and the way that we're being supported by those beings. What I will tell you, I'm still getting over a cold, as you can tell, and I'm going through this kind of growth. I call it a growth cycle, but it's a sleeping growth cycle. So what that means is that I feel like if I wasn't showing up for things like this today, I would probably sleep through this entire event. And what's happening when I get that sleepy and that deep, so I've been taking naps every day, sometimes 2 naps a day, some really deep things happen. That's an opportunity for my spirit to leave in its astral body to go wherever it needs to go to gather additional information, but also for my body to heal and my body to prepare for these surges that are going to be happening. So there are many of you listening in today who have signed up, registered for the blue light event, and that's going to start October 28th, which is today at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it's not too late to sign up for one of those events, but no worries if you're listening to this next week and you're like, wow, I missed it. It will be recorded. So if you decide to join us for the rest of November, we will send you the recording for November 28th. So what is significant about today is just what I'm saying. Like, I'm sleeping a lot, I'm meditating a lot, I'm getting downloaded a lot. And I will honestly, if I can say honestly, it feels a bit much for this old body of mine. And so I know if it's feeling a bit much for me, it must be feeling a bit much for others. So I'm curious how you're all feeling during this time that's already shifting. And, of course, in October, we had that big solar eclipse that is still really impacting us. So I'm curious how you've been, feeling. Some people have said they're not sleeping at all. I went through that phase last month. I'm definitely making up for it now. But headaches, how many of you are having headaches? How many of you are feeling some expansiveness around the heart? How many of you are feeling bone aches and things like that? It is interesting. Belinda's saying, so I think I'm getting what you said, Belinda, is that you got COVID last week. I know a lot of people that got COVID. I don't know if I got COVID last month. I didn't have a test with me, but I do think there's some connection between the two, but that's just from the opinion of Nancy. So yeah, lots of emotions, heart action, headaches. Yep, there is a lot going on. There's beings in the middle of the earth with healing energy if you go there for meditation and upgrades. Yep, there's a lot going on in the middle of the earth. So I'm going to talk about Kivas, which will make a connection to that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the underworld. So we have 3 worlds according to the ancients. There's the underworld, the middle world, which is where we live, and then the upper world where our ascended masters and star beings live. So yeah, sore eyes. Wow, I'm with you on that one too. Okay, let's see here. Headaches, headaches, headaches. And so why are you having headaches? Because let's say there's some downloaded information that happens to be coming about 3 blue waves that are coming, star beings that are coming in by the thousands to assist us on Earth as we are rising in our awakening, in our higher states of high level knowledge of consciousness. Our DNA and our genetics are being shifted to be able to adapt, to understand, to maybe be able to see into the spirit world and be able to have greater sensations and feelings and be able to maybe hear the spirit world or know what's going on underneath. And then our mind is like trying to hang on to, that's not possible. You're crazy. Why are you even believing this? Your mind is like, it's got to go in this neat little box. So our minds are really trying to hang on to some level of rationality. And someone had said to me, Nancy, the way that you're talking is so fringe. And believe me, I'm not a fringe. I have never been a fringe kind of person. Yep, I'm psychic. Yep, I can see energy fields, all those things. That's why it messed with my head so much, because I'm such a responsible, rational, registered nurse, science, thinking of the highest sort, practical solutions, And then imagine waking up one day and you have star beings in your room that are saying, the world is going to expand in consciousness and we need you to go to China. So all of that's in my stories, but what happened to me is happening to all of you right now. I know it, everybody who's on this call, and is going to happen and continue to happen a lot over the next several years, very, very rapidly. And that's why all of us are needed to help support each other during this time, to say, hey, you're not crazy. So please ask questions, because what I realized was that there are a lot of you that have questions. Probably you'll have a lot more questions than we have answers for. But what I love about questions is it inspires curiosity. Out of curiosity inspires theories about what the answer could be to the questions that we may not have an answer for. Out of those theories, maybe people will do more research about, and when we come together, we understand, a lot more. So as Eric is saying, he's like, I've been feeling really challenged to do things in the 3D world. So the 3D world is, you got a sink full of dishes. Yep. You got to have dinner. Yep. You need to wash your clothes, and or you need to make those doctor's appointments. Those are all those kind of 3D things. Yes, Eric, I totally agree with you. It's being harder, but it's not just harder for you, Eric. I feel like we could talk like for the next 6 hours, and I really wish that we could. So I'm thinking about my poor little pharmacy down the street. So I go to get my medicine at the Big Love last week, and they don't have it, or they haven't refilled it, and so can you come back? Now I will tell you, I've come back 3 times, and yesterday when I went back again, I wasn't upset. There's this long line. You can see 2 or 3 people really frazzled. Their computer systems are down. So, and the woman, she's like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can you come back in an hour? And I'm like, well, I've been back 3 times this week. How about I come back tomorrow and give you a little extra time? So what I'm trying to say in that story is, Eric, I think we're all having trouble. I think we're all struggling to be in the 3D world right now. So what do I leave you with that story? Let's be patient with one another, because I think we're all struggling a bit. Facebook user saying deep sleeping, deep dreaming, ears congested. Yeah, this cold, I know I'm really just detoxing a lot. So I'm really trying to keep up with my fluids. Lots of people sleeping a lot. Really dragging. I'm right there with you. Now Jennifer's saying, Jennifer's been feeling energized, happy, expansive, full of life. Jill is saying lots of achy joints, pain, making sense to drink a lot of fluids. What are some common symptoms? That's what people want to know. What are some common symptoms that we should be aware of? What I know is there's definitely the sleep, there's definitely the dream, definitely a lot of head stuff, really heavy-headed. But again, we've never been through something like this, so I don't know. It'll be like, we'll just take one step at a time. A Facebook user saying avoid people that suck your energy during this time of upgrades, not downgrades. Definitely wanting to stay optimistic, but I have to tell you, I'm noticing this in other people as well. My own son said to me the other day, in his family household, he said, we're into problem solving right now, and he said to his family, no negative vibes around the house. I'm creating right now. I'm in the middle of creating what I want right now. And I'm thinking about what I want to create. And I'm thinking about the positive outcomes of what I want to create. So no downers. no negativity. And I'm laughing because he's not like this. He's a construction worker. I mean, he's just not like this, but he's starting to be able to feel when his vibe's getting dragged down, either by his own thoughts or by the people around him. So, yep, I think that we're all noticing that. Yep, and talking to the doctor, not helpful. Yeah. I said to my oncologist the other day, what did I say? I said, I've really noticed that when I eat sugar, I can get really crabby. And she said, eating sugar can make you crabby? And I'm like, oh yeah, if I've been off sugar for like 6 months, you can't make me have a bad mood when I'm off sugar. But when I'm on sugar, it doesn't take anything for me to be in a bad mood. And she was just like, wow, I never heard of that before. And I'm like, now that's basics, I think. That's basics. But anyway. All right, awesome. Oh my gosh. So the Facebook user, the more you ascend, the more they'll come. Sorry. The more you ascend, the more they'll come for you. I get what you're saying, but the way it sounds is that you're going to be, hijacked and, picked up by somebody out there. But I get what you're saying is that the more you ascend, the more you awaken, the more consciousness you are, the more your eyes are wide open, the more experiences, the spiritual experiences that you can have, and the more that you do understand. Okay, so in this talk, I really wanted to talk about Kivas, and I wanted to talk about the Orion constellation. So I am going to talk about those things a little bit, probably not as much as some of you were hoping, because once I realized that a lot of people are having questions about what's going to happen, I'm going to try to stay on top of that as well. But let me talk about, so a Kiva, we associate it. It is associated with the indigenous peoples of the Southwest. I am not indigenous. I am not an expert. I am only sharing these things with you as I did my own kind of deep dive with Dr. Google. I've read some books about it, looked on the internet about it. And what I discovered is this. So a kiva is a dwelling. So let's just put it that way. It is a dwelling. And in this dwelling, people could go in, the indigenous people, and they would live under the earth. And at the top would be, like a clay structure. They would have wood going across, and this dwelling goes down into the earth. Now, it served several purposes. So the anthropologists who are going to talk about its practical reasons for the Kiva, its practical reasons is that it's cooler. It's a hot area of the country, that it would have been cooler for people to live underground to get out of the heat. And that, you could cook and your families could gather there, and there were different sizes of different Kivas. There were Kivas, which it's an underground shelter is basically what it means. So there are these all over the world and in different cultures. There are different underground structures that can go 20 stories deep. There are some assumptions, anthropologists who remember curiosity is followed by theory. I'm curious. This is what this is all about. I'm going to theorize that this is what it means, but none of us lived during that time. So none of us have the facts. The only difference is in the indigenous cultures who are still living, such as the Hopi or the Pueblo or the Lakota or all the different indigenous cultures, they've got their oral history that they've passed down through generations. So as I was doing my research, that they would go into the sacred ceremonial kivas that still exist today. And that's where they would share their stories, and that they share and they pass those stories to generation after generation after generation. Now, wouldn't this be wonderful if those of you who are listening in today who are not of a, kind of an indigenous culture, although if you go back far enough, we all are, but if we receive those stories through our family lines, some of you may be blessed enough to receive stories like that from the ancient ones in your family, but most of us have not. So in these kivas, this is what will happen, is that they will go down and they will have their ceremonies, share their stories, but more than their stories, they share the spiritual experience. And when you're calling in the light of that frequency of the experience of the ancient ones, of your ancient ancestors, that's where your own DNA, your own genetics, the memories of those awaken. And so that's what's going to be happening here with the blue light frequency. For those of you who are not joining me and many others during this time, you're not being left out in the cold. I just want to assure you of that. It's just, I'm going to ask that you just meditate. You just sit in quiet. You can wear blue, you can get blue nail polish, you can do blue flowers, you can write blue candles, or you can just go sit out amongst the trees or in the desert or by the ocean and just sit, because the blue frequency is coming through whether you're conscious of it or not. So just to let you know, you're not being left out. Everyone on the entire planet, in the book, according to Nancy, who's been in communication with these blue light beings, that we're all going to really be expanded with this. So somebody's like, wear blue eyeliner. I think I'm going to stop there. Yes, your little laughy face. So, all right. But in these kivas, they would have an opening, in the sky, and in that opening, that would help focus on the stars and the star constellations, which is why I want to talk about Orion's belt, or the Orion constellation, and the planet Sirius. So you have to understand, when these blue beings of light came in, I didn't know where they were from, and I could only hear a high pitch ringing in my ears. So how many of you have ever heard that high pitch ringing before? So for me, what that means is there's a spirit of, yes, it can be tinnitus. I'm a nurse, yes. However, being a nurse, I still lean more towards, it's a higher level frequency that's trying to communicate messages to us. But in our third dimensional world, we are not practiced enough, or maybe we are not at a frequency that's high enough yet to be able to hear what's being said. So in the beginning, it sounded more like whales and dolphins. It was a very high-pitched sound. And then I would have a knowing impression of what they were saying. It's kind of like you push the button and the translation comes. So I met a woman who, she told me she's not from this earth, that she's come to this earth. She's what would be called a hybrid, or a star seed, or a star being. But she came to this earth, and she was in a healing session with me, and I saw that other side of her, and I wasn't sure whether I should say anything or not. How would you feel if you came in to see me as a clairvoyant? I said, oh, I see you're not from this earth. It isn't just something you're going to hear every day. And what she said was, oh my gosh, how did you know that? I've never told anybody. My husband doesn't even know I'm from another planet. Then what do you do with that? But the point, which is a cool story, I'll share it sometime, but the point is she said when she hears from her galaxy and she hears information that is going to help benefit the earth, She takes her right hand, she presses her left palm, and then the information comes to her as to what it means. So, yep, there are people living amongst us that are from other planets. And I know that sounds far out there, but these people are pretty cool people. You would not know it. So back to in the belief in the Native American beliefs, the Hopi is the westernmost group of the Pueblo Indians, is one of these peoples. And the Hopi original origin story has it that the Hopis used to live beneath the earth. And there are many cultures, you can look it up, where they live beneath the earth. Then they met a person, a being, spiritual being, came to them, Masao or Masao. Again, I've just got this out of book. I've not heard this through oral tradition. That was the caretaker, the creator of the earth, promised that he would continue to take care of the Hopi as a trade-off for staying. And so they went underground. And then eventually they have come and started coming back to the surface again. But they made that promise, the Hopi, that they would be the good stewards of the earth if this Masao God the creator would take care of them. After making their promise of the sacred quest, the Masao or the great creator helped them to find places that would be places of safety for them. So what's happening in the blue light is going to be happening in November is that the blue light beings said they wish for me in guided meditation to help all of you create these kind of sacred centers each time one of these new surges comes through to help enhance your experience and to help kind of buffer the experience of the strong blue light. Okay. What I want to say about that, Facebook user saying Andromeda beings are blue frequencies. I have to say there's a lot. I'm going to be talking about the different types of star beings. I am far from an expert. I just happen to see them. I happen to be able to talk to them. I happen to believe that I am as sane can be when I'm doing this. And I'm not quite sure why they come to me, but as the person said here in their writing, that the more you raise your frequency, the easier it is for you to have an experience with them. And I believe that to be a truth. And I've been doing this for 30 years. It was never my goal to talk to star beings, but there's a lot of things that I don't understand about why we are here as spirit. And you all have reasons why you're here. Okay, so we are going to have a meditation where we will kind of create our underground system. But this is something that's super fascinating to me is when I was in Utah, and there's a canyon there, I think it's called, 9 Mile Canyon, and it's near what's called the McConkey Ranch, but it's definitely a sacred area. They have some really incredible cave paintings that are there and petroglyphs that are there that are quite well known in this canyon. And so I got to be led through the canyon by an anthropologist. Oh, I should have written down his name. Excuse me. Anyway, I will look it up and post that here in the link. But what he was explaining is when the family bought that whole kind of area, and I have to say the McConkeys have really maintained that area as sacred. It is free for anybody who wants to come in and do the hike and to see the petroglyphs. They haven't turned it into some big, tourist destination. So you have to kind of look for it to find it. But when I was with him in September, he talked about that there was a big flood that went through that canyon. And when the flood waters came up, there were all these artifacts that floated to the surface, and they were very sacred artifacts. And then when the water receded, there were these artifacts all over the ground, and there were hundreds of kivas, hundreds, just next to each other. So this was definitely I would say, a pilgrimage site where people came in Utah. They had the kivas there. What the family did was they didn't collect these items and give them to a museum. They didn't bring in archaeologists. As best as they could, they placed them back into the kivas, and they brought in, and they had the whole thing covered up with dirt again. So, yeah, it's a very significant area in that area, which happens to be within a 10-minute drive to Skinwalker Ranch and Blind Frog Ranch. So there's a lot of UFO type things that happen in the area. Very, very, very sacred area. If you ever get a chance to visit that area, go do it. Jennifer's saying she visited Kivas in July in the Mesa Verde. So, yeah, that was their sacred areas. But in South America, we have pyramids. In South America, we definitely have temples. In Egypt, there's temples. There are in China, there's all these sacred sites all over the world. And in many of them, there's underground caves and all kinds of things like that. So these were really sacred areas for us to go into. So let me just talk to you a little bit about, I do want to mention a couple of books. So if you are an avid reader, the Orion Zone, I will tell you, it's like, no offense, Gary, David did a great job, but it's like eating a box of dry crackers without opening the cardboard box. Unless you're one of those that loves intense, deep detail, this is a sleeper. Incredible information, okay? Incredible information, but just want to forewarn you, it's a lot of detail, and you're trying to get what the significance is. So what is the detail? I have to, I'm going to say, if Yvonne is listening in, she got a sheet of paper from Cherry Lee Ward, which is in this book, which is about the Orion constellation. So I will ask her to go get that and slip that in so that I can show that to you. She made a copy of it for me. But that is also in this book. So what it is, the Orion Zone, where he talks about the whole Orion constellation. So yes, you have three main stars of Orion's belt. So we would say that's Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius maybe C, whatever that third light is. But in the constellation, there's a lot of planets, there's a lot of stars. And what Gary David did was he kind of mapped it out and overlaid it of this area. So he aligned it with the three mesas, which the blue light will come through. When he aligned it, it lines up with the three stars that make up the belt of Orion's belt. But all the other stars and planets of that entire constellation, there he found, I don't know if they were sacred sites, but let's say ruins. There were ancient ruins there. So every single place on that land where there were stars within that constellation, it is laid out on the land there. And so he talks about the distance between them, and he talks about, the significance of where they are and what it is and how many stones there are. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of a little bit dry that way. But an incredible life's work that he did, and I always want to acknowledge that. I'm going to acknowledge these books if you want to know everything about Orion, and you want to know about the Syrians, and you want to know about Atlantis, and you want to know about all this. This is Drunvalo Melchizedek, the ancient secret of the flower of life. So they have found this particular symbol on cave walls, and in Egyptian culture and hieroglyphics and that kind of thing. Loads of information here. Also about Sirius, why Sirius is significant, why the Orion constellation is significant amongst the ancient cultures. However, I'm going to make this recommendation, but as a registered nurse and as a psychic teacher, I am going to say, please be well grounded when you read those books, because it can awaken so much within you of the ancient star systems, maybe some ancient memories of you being a star being or your ancestors from the stars. That there's been actually a couple of people that I know that were borderline, almost ended up in a hospital, that they kind of went so far out that they could barely get back. So it's kind of like Eric talking about hard to function in the 3D world. And so when that's happening, you want to do more 3D things. You want to paint a room, or you want to go sweep the sidewalk. You want to go mow the grass. You want to do 3D things that help bring the light into the body, not leave the body to go to the light. So I wouldn't even recommend this to my clients unless they were a really, really solid person. So I'm just going to let you know. They're pretty amazing books. So, and yes, as Jill Keen says, it is serious sacred geometry. Serious sacred geometry. Okay, so I wrote about, and he will talk about the Dogons. So Dogon. It's really kind of funny when you read about them, where they've got, petroglyphs and paintings in their caves that are 600 years old, that give the detail of the Orion constellation and the planet Sirius in detail. And people will say, oh, they just heard that. I'm not going to, if I go into that sarcasm, that will not be good. But you have the naysayers, let's just put it that way, to say, oh, somebody told them. It's like, no, they knew where these star systems were and these planets were when we didn't even have telescopes to see them yet. So that's in his book as well, but you can read more about it just online. You can even see videos on it, YouTube videos on it. All right, so let me just talk about, if you have questions, I really want you to ask. So I'm just going to look if you have any questions. Okay. So yesterday, the blue beings of light woke me up at 4:30 in the morning. Super excited. And I spent 3 hours, and I have a meditation room. I spent 3 hours in there having a little chat with them. And this is first and foremost what they want us to know. First and foremost, this whole blue light thing is not about them. They're like, I know it's entertaining to think that there might be star beings. I know it's entertaining to think that these celestial galactic beings might come down from outer space, or may come from another dimension to talk to us and tell us everything's going to be okay. But what they said was, it's not about us. It's about the light. It's not about us. It's about the light. So they're being very clear about, they want us to remain focused on the frequency of this blue light. Now, someone asked, is this similar to the blue ray and the people who've been born to the earth of the blue ray? I don't know anything about that, but my sense is yes, that this, if we're talking about this frequency and we're talking about this light. Now, where does this light come from? And why is it that it's significant, our relationship with, what's the big friggin' deal about the Orion constellation? Inquiring minds want to know, right? Because the Egyptian pyramids are aligned with it. In China, their pyramids are aligned with it. In Mexico, their pyramids are aligned with it. There's so many significant places that are aligned with the Orion's constellation and the planets Sirius. And even when I was in Ireland, there's the area of Newgrange and Dowith and Knowith, and there are people who work in the galactic realm who talk about that people came down through, the star beings came and landed in that area, and that's a sacred area, and it came from somewhere near the Pleiadians, Assyrians, Orion's belt. So go do your deep dive homework if that's something that excites you. Kind of excites me, but I got to keep my eye on I got to keep my rudder in the water, and I got to keep moving forward. And so there's something significant about this blue light and our galaxy for some reason. So when I ask the blue beings of light, what is the significance? Why aren't we getting information? And maybe we are from other galaxies. What they said was that it's like we have our galaxy, we have our solar system, and within our solar system, we have our planets, we have our sun, we have our moon. There are other areas that have their own galaxy. They have their own planets and stars that are orbiting around. And when I had my out-of-body experience 30 years ago, I was taken to a place that I call the place of the two moons. There were two planets in the sky, and we usually only see one at a time, but there were two at the time. I still don't know where this is. Maybe it's Orion's constellation. But what they said was, it's that we see our Earth, and we have our moon, and we have our sun, we have Saturn and Neptune and Venus and Mars, and all this is going like this. And then they're saying in the Orion constellation, they have a similar thing. They've got this rotation that's happening. But what they're saying is you've got the Orion constellation, you have our constellation or our orbiting, and then it's like we're orbiting, the two constellations are kind of orbiting around each other. It's almost like, push me, kind of pull me, like gravity pushes, gravity pulls. So there's this delicate balance, they said, where we'll call it a delicate balance of support. It may be lovely if you have a family that has a delicate balance of support. You might not get along with your sister or your brother, but when push comes to shove, they've got your back, right? So that's what they're saying. It's like we live in two different orbits, but we still rely on each other to maintain a delicate balance. So what's happening is the Earth's imbalance is a little out of balance. It's a little kind of wonky, and that the rest of the stars and galaxies in the universe are raising their frequency. We must raise our frequency as well. And some of the indigenous ancient cultures, they believe that Earth is the newest. It's like the baby, of the Earths. And so just like the baby needs a little more support from the adults in the room, that's kind of what's happening here. The adults in the room are the star beings, and it's kind of helping us. So yeah, it can be kind of trippy when you think that you're the adult in the room. And right now we have a lot of people in charge who think they're the adult in the room, and they're behaving very badly. So So I'm reading somebody saying there's static in the sound. Is there static in my sound? I apologize if there is, but yes, there has been a lot of static. I was just on a podcast and we were talking about that no matter what, she couldn't get the static out. Okay, so do you kind of understand that? It's an equal support system, and we're being supported right now by the star beings. But the blue light that's coming in, when I asked where does the blue light come from, I'm told it comes from the dog star. So when I look up the dog star with Dr. Google, finding out it is Sirius and the Orion constellation. So then I went back to the blue beings of light and I said, all right, so where does this blue light come from? And so they say it's a radiance that's being pulsed. It's a radiance that's being pulsed, and there's this gentle pulse that's happening that's, I'm hearing, it's like the human growth hormone. It's like you're a baby and you grow a lot in that first year of life, and then from that first year to the 20th year, you grow quite a bit more. And then over 20, you start kind of maturing. It's kind of like that. This light that's coming in is helping us to mature, but you can use the terms awaken and consciousness and evolution and all these big special words, but we're growing, we're maturing, and we're growing up to be decent human beings. And they have faith that we're growing up and that we have the potential to be decent human beings. So when I go, oh my gosh, it's 10 to 9. I have 10 minutes left in my talk. Okay. But in the underworld, I'll just say the underworld's coming to back up to the surface of the middle world. And they're saying it's because there are decent human beings in the middle world now, and that the underworld feels like it's safe to bring the magic back, the magic and the mysticism. So the other things, yeah, I love that, Eric. Blue light is our birthright. Yeah. And the dog star area would be like our parent. That's, I don't know, makes sense to me, Eric, just by what they are saying. So the origin of the light from Orion. Yes, that's what I understand, this pulsing. So now what's going to happen in November, starting November 4th. So right now it's pulsing. And it's intense. So what I notice is it'll get kind of dark blue like my nails, like my cloth from Africa, that is the Abalone cloth, which means star beings. And then it can get to be really light blue, which is a gentle pulsing, and then a really dark blue, which is a dark pulsing, intense pulsing. What they're saying is that on November 4th, when it's going to be like a really long wave of blue, steady, concentrated light. Now, from what I understand, according to the book of Nancy, who's talking to the star beings, right? There's no proof of what I'm saying. So you've got to be the adult in the room to decide if you want to listen or not. What I understand is this first big pulse will be that driving blue light that will go deep into the earth through the first mesa in Arizona. It will be amplified by the mesa. It's going to start breaking up old hatred, old violence, old corruption, old, I don't know, meanness, suffering, grief. It's just going to start breaking all of that up. But what's going to happen is also going to break it up on the inside of you. So it's going to get broken up to be dissolved. So you might say, you could say one of two things: happy, happy, joy, joy, or oh crap, right? Oh crap. So what does that mean? It means that we could be going through a pretty big period of detoxing those energies. We need to get rid of them on the earth and detoxing them in our body. So this is why it's going to be so helpful for you in the month of November, right now and beyond. Do not make a steady diet of bags of chocolates and ice cream. Try to eat as pure as possible. Try to drink lots of water. Get out in nature. Try to sleep well. Try to do those healthy things to support your body while it detoxes. And then we'll have the second wave that'll go through the second mesa. I don't have my calendar here. Sorry. It's online on my intuitivemind.org website. Click on the blue light, gives you all the dates there. And then the second wave will come through, and then the third wave will come through, and each one will be gentler. It's like a jackhammer breaks up the rock, and then the backhoe moves out the big chunks of rock, and then the sweeper comes in and sweeps out the crumbs. That's it in a nutshell. That's what's going to be happening in November. The world is going through a dark night of the soul, but you know what? This is not the darkest. This is not the darkest. We've had some really dark nights in the last 5,000 years. We've been going through the dark ages. We've had many dark nights of the soul. Creativity is going to be really helpful. Do lots of creative things during this time. So just stay tuned. This month, I'm going to be talking every Thursday morning live on YouTube. I'm going to be staying on our Blue Light Movement page on Facebook. Anybody can join. Just look it up, Blue Light Movement. Click and ask to join. You just have to say you play well with others. We'll let you in and rejoice and welcome you. And and if you feel driven and compelled and called, you can join us and register for. I have 3 different paid platforms. One will get you in the group reading today, plus join the first surge. The second range of price gets you in the group reading today, and you join for the 3 main events. The third, which is our higher priced one, where you'll have 11 touch points with me, where we're going to do pre, main, and post events, and plus the group reading today. So you can take a look at that. We'll have the link here. Yeah, we are coming into the age of Aquarius for sure. Let's just I know we only have a few minutes left. If you've got to go, I totally get that. A lot of you are going to be meeting with me today at 3:00 for the group reading. So super, super excited about that. But let's just do a little mini meditation about the blue light, because as the star beings say, it's the blue light that is the star of the show. Go ahead and close your eyes and turn within, and oh my gosh, just feel how exciting that we get to live on Earth during this incredible, incredible time. Just let your body know. It's like, hey, we're going to be going through some changes, but I've got your back. We're going to go through changes, but I've got your back. Say hello to your spirit and say, hey, I understand I'm going to be going through some changes. I hope you've got my back. Your spirit always has your back. And now we're going to pretend for just a moment that we are out in nature. Your nature can be in the southwest of the United States. Your nature can be in another country in the world. Your nature could be by the ocean or by a lake. Your nature could be in the mountains. Whatever you desire in your imagination to create as a sacred area for yourself right now, go ahead and imagine it. And as you're looking around the area, you're noticing that there's a blue radiant light that is radiating from this opening in the earth. And this radiance is going to guide you. You're going to know where the sacred underground place is for you. There are many ways that you can access this underground space. So in a Kiva, they have a wooden ladder that goes down through a hole in the roof of the Kiva. But if this is a nature place, like under a tree or maybe into another world, you may get there by crawling down through a hole. You may get there by flying on the back of an eagle. Just let your spirit guide you as to any of the ways for you to move into this sacred space. Maybe you swim through the water and you end up in a nice cozy cave that has a nice roaring fire in it. Whatever you want to create as a safe, sacred space for you, go ahead and imagine and create that. And go ahead and go inside. And on the inside of the sacred space, it can be you and angelic beings, ascended masters. It could be guides, angels. Maybe you really like to be surrounded by animals or plants. You get to create that inside of that sacred space however you desire it to be. Find a place to sit or lay down or stand and dance around. As you begin to ground, you're beginning to turn blue. That whole sacred space is beginning to turn blue. It's being well grounded to the center of the earth. You are going to absorb more of this sacred blue light that dissolves all illusions, helps us to mature, helps us to grow, expand in consciousness, and then allow that space to flood with the blue light. If the blue light beings, star beings, happen to come visit you, that's a bonus, but it's not the main stage event. The blue celestial light is. So we're going to take 2 minutes of quiet. as you allow the blue into your little sacred area to help prepare you for the month to come. All right, I'm going to go ahead and guide you back out again, just so that those who are new at doing something like this will know how to come back out. You're always welcome to go back in again after this call. So look around the room if you had any other beings with you. Kind of, imagine you're in your underground sacred area. Just thank any beings that were with you, thank the light, and then go ahead and come back up out of the sacred area, whether it was a kiva or a cave or another underground system under a tree. You're going to come back out to the imaginary area of nature that you created. And I want you to sense when you come out, how you feel a little differently coming out of that sacred space. And then go ahead and imagine coming back to the room that you're coming back. So whether you're going to take a pathway down the mountains, whether you walk along the beach to get your way back to the room and the home, apartment, car, nature that you might be in right now, go ahead and come all the way back to the room, the space that you're in, and then open your eyes, look around your room to reacclimate yourself, look at your hands, look at your feet, your body, touch your body, just to kind of get you back, because for some people you can go really deep and it might be hard for you to come back so easily. I know that one. So I want you to feel empowered to know that you can come back. So thank you, Eric, for mentioning the dates. It will be November 4th, November 18th, and November 25th. And don't hesitate to either write questions in the comments, Again, we'll leave the link here so you could take a look at it if you choose to join us in any of those 3 different options that you have to join us. And share this talk. If you want other people who you think would be aligned with knowing what's going to be coming up in November and want a little better understanding of how it works, you can share this video with them. Let me just see. I think that's it for now. You're very welcome. Yeah, Leanne's saying hers was under the ocean, surrounded by whales and whale song. So much blue. Beautiful. All right, everyone. I'm excited. We're not stopping here. We're going to be talking about things all blue all month long. But as Pam Gregory says, this is the last big push. But the party is just getting started into 2024. We are living through this great time of change. And I am so thrilled to always look up in the river of life and see all of you there with me. All right, take care of her, everyone. Bye-bye.